Greetings and welcome back to Cricket Analysis by CNE. This is our eighth video, and in this video, we're going to talk about the topic of WTC. No, we're not talking about the World Trade Center. We are talking about the World Test Championship. This World Test Championship is a futuristic league that started in 2019. And in the last video where Vedant's monologue happened, he beautifully explained the history of cricket, the present, and the future. So we're going to take it from there and we're going to talk about what the World Test Championship really is. And it's going to be a quick guide about what is it, why it was created, how it was created, or if there are any criticisms related to it. So without further ado, let's get on with it and let's talk about the World Test Championship. The World Test Championship usually has the top 9 ranked teams participating against each other, not in a round robin format or not in a group stage format. The top 9 teams being the England side, India side, Australia, South Africa, the reigning champions, New Zealand, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and the West Indies. These 9 teams compete over the cycle of 2 years, and the top 2 teams who perform the best will go on to play a one-off final showdown in England for at least for the last 2 seasons. That's what's been happening. Before going forward in our introduction to WTC, I would like to introduce my panel for today, who is another usual suspect, Vedant Sharan, who has done a very good monologue yesterday. How does it feel, Vedant?
Thank you, Agni.
How was the monologue yesterday?
Very tough, man. Very tough. The amount of retakes that it took, it was. You were there for all
Yeah,
the
I was there.
retakes.
No,
So
the
thank you for
people
your
don't know I
patience
was there.
also. Thank you for your
No,
patience.
no, it's actually quite tough to do a monologue, and I personally have to say that you have done it quite well.
You'll
And
be
we are
realizing
continuing on.
that today. Might be.
No, it's actually quite good. For the first time, you have done it, and you've done it beautifully after
Thank
so
you.
much of retakes and talks about what the topic should be. So well done. I'm going to take the banner of you and go to the WTC cycle. Now, what the WTC is and what's the point system behind it. So there is a points table where the top 2 teams, as I've said, will go and play the final. How is the point system devised? Well, for a win, you'll get a maximum of 12 points. So you get 12 points if you win the match. And for a drawn match, which is quite prevalent in Test cricket, but it has not been as regular in the previous few years, so you'll get 4 points for a draw each for each team. And in case of a tie, which has happened only 2 times in the last century or something, you'll get 6 points each. It has not happened, but I would quite enjoy to see a match if there's a tie. It would be quite enjoying. I have never seen a match where there was a tie involved, but it's still there as a precaution of what happens in case there is a tie. There's going to be 6 points.
There was, Agni, if I'm not wrong, there was one tie between New Zealand and Sri Lanka or some team na, in New
It
Zealand.
was the closest. That was the
But
closest
whether it
situation
was,
where
I don't think it was in the WTC cycle.
it wasn't a right. It was in the WTC cycle in around 2020,
Okay.
and they in New Zealand won it by, I think, in the last ball where they required
Yes,
one
yes.
run.
Kane Williamson with that.
Kane
If
Williamson
I'm
took
not
the
wrong.
run, and
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I stand corrected.
he narrowly missed out the run out, or else it would have been a tight match. So
Yes.
that was the closest one we have had, but not yet a tight match. So you'll
But
know how rare this is. But going forward, how we'll talk about the point system. It's not done by how many teams have won how many points, because the teams are not playing the equal number of matches. Where England are playing the maximum matches and the least amount of matches are played by West Indies or Pakistan. It's not devised by where you how many points you have won, because England have definitely won more points because they have played more matches. It's determined by a POP, percentage of points. Now, this is a British method where it's done usually in other sports, but it has been introduced in this sport by ICC, where it's going to be a percentage of points. So basically, how it is calculated, as you can see on the screen, is calculated as the ratio of points a team has earned to the total of points they could have earned across all the matches. So basically, if 100, so for example, if there is a team that has played a certain amount of test matches and they have won 100, and there's a maximum they could have earned 100 points, well, they have won 60 of them. The actual percentage of the points they'll earn is 60%. And the maximum percentage a team will have is the team that will go on top. So basically, the top two teams are the teams which have the most percentage of points, not by how many points they have won. So it's quite unique in that sense. And there is some penalty as well. There's a penalty in the sense of docking 1 point. It's a very serious penalty, as I can see, and the side of England have suffered the most as they have lost a lot of points during the whole WTC cycle just because of overrate penalty. It's quite a strict fine, but as I can explain here, it is to maintain a specific overrate so that they can't delay any overs or the match can be completed faster or in the space of 5 days. Where in the space of 5 days, you have to bowl 450 overs. So what happens is that if they don't manage to fulfill that criteria, 1 point is docked each over. So every over they fall short, they are docked a point, which is quite strict. In my opinion, it's quite strict, and it's very hefty on England, especially when they play at home. They play with pacing conditions, and with pace conditions, it's the over rate becomes quite slow. So it's very strict on the English side, and it's one of the reasons that they haven't been able to play the final. But till then, it's the POP and the specific overrate that determines where the team has stood till now.
Now I'll be taking you through the pros and cons of WTC. Not the World Trade Center, but World Test Championship. Now, Agni has explained very rightly how it works, how the system works, what the the teams participating, point system, and everything. Very well done, Agni. So
Thank you. Thank you.
so the question arises: why? What was the need? The system is there. What was
Exactly.
the need, right? So I think it is very, very simple, the need, because this era is characterized. Uh, it is a one which is of short attention spans and instant gratification.
Instagram reels all day.
Instagram Reels
I'm a
and
victim
YouTube
of that
Shorts
as well.
all day. So,
Yeah.
to stay relevant here, this system was required, and
Yeah.
what it has done is also it has made it more engaging and competitive. Now, why so? Because now every test series, and in fact every test match now has a meaning because of the points which Agni explained. So, and every match leads to a title. So we one cannot. So now there is no dead rubber like we used to see before, when if in a three match series one team wins 2-0, then the third match is a dead rubber and not fun to watch because we already know the outcome. But now it is not so, because now there is a title to work for, which is very important. And also the second thing what has happened is that it has made test cricket more competitive. Right now people are more than to settle for draws, they are going for wins to increase their pop, as Agni has mentioned. So you need to win. So test cricket has been made more competitive. So this is the pros of it, and I think it was a needed thing. But
Yeah.
with every system also comes its cons, which I'll be going through right now. So the biggest problem with WTC is, or the biggest it raises questions about fairness. Now, why I am saying this is because if you look at the big three, that is England, India, and Australia, England is playing 22 matches, India is playing 18 matches, Australia is playing 16 matches. And if we look at the winners of WTC in the previous cycle, the 2023 to 2025 cycle, South Africa just played, the winner, South Africa, they played 12. So how is it a level playing field? And to go look further, South Africa's 12 matches included away tours to New Zealand, West Indies, Bangladesh, and at home they only faced teams like India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. So only one Indian team, which was the stronger team. Pakistan and Sri Lanka are relatively weaker teams, and same with West Indies and Bangladesh. So, so it is, and if whereas if you look at England or India, they are playing each other twice in the span of 2 years. So for them, it is tougher to
Oh,
qualify. So the what is the core? So this is what we have seen, and the core problem here is that there is no fixed structure for opponent selection. It is dictated by bilateral agreements and money than by merit. So this is a con of WTC which needs to be fixed.
Very rightly explained, Vedant. It's a lot. There is a balance of the pros and cons that WTC offers, and we're going to focus on the cons because the cons seem more vibrant than actually the pros. Because while the pros, of course, mention that it's better for the young audience today for to watch Test cricket and how it's very exciting to watch, especially how the brand of cricket England are playing, where they are playing quite an ODI style of cricket, and it's catching a lot of eyes. But this system has its cons as well. As Vedant has mentioned, point system inequality. It's very important to know that when a team has played, their team like India is playing, suppose a five-match series between Australia and England, they're not playing much of teams that are supposed lower ranked. For example, they're not playing Bangladesh as much, especially for five test series at least. They're not playing Bangladesh. They are not playing South Africa much, even though they have played, but they have played only two matches in a comparison to suppose playing with England and Australia. So it's tough for India,
No, and
especially
also
in India.
one thing, Agni, here, if you look, is I didn't mention it, that South Africa has
Hmm.
played three match or two match test series, which you were pointing
Uh,
out, and India and England have played five.
have
So
played five. So
so
it's quite tough actually.
yeah, so if you look at it from a POP point of view, which you explained, playing two or playing three is easier, because then your
Yeah.
percentage of for if you win two matches, then you get a POP of 100. So
Uh,
in a two match test series, so that it has been easier for South Africa, and there has to be the system has to be refined, which I think we have, and how so that has to be now discussed, which we'll be
talked
discussing
about.
right now.
Yeah, a lot of discussions have been placed forward as to how it could be refined. People are talking about suppose holding a group stage thing where suppose there are two groups and introducing the three other test playing teams currently who are not part of the nine test playing teams, which are Afghanistan, Ireland, and Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe and Ireland once upon a time were quite decent in cricket in terms, but their quality have decreased, and especially we have seen that the ICC have not focused on their growth as much because they are not, of course, they're not part of the top nine teams. But wouldn't it be weird talking about that nine teams are participating instead of suppose 10, if not 12, then 10, where
Yeah,
suppose it's divided into five teams each, and they are participating. Suppose in the group stages, they are participating against each other and then playing a final. Suppose, for
see,
example, every year.
See, Agni, the problem here lies that you can do that, but again, you have to remember that the India-England Test series, the India-Australia Test series, and the England versus Australia Test series are the ones which generate the most revenue with the five matches we see here. So,
Exactly.
I don't think ICC will forego revenue and if place them in separate groups. If you place them in the same group, then that group is it is again not fair. So you have
Yeah.
so that is the issue. So it is a very complex thing.
Huh.
And so this could be one of them, but again, the problem with this is the one which I just mentioned right now.
Yeah, and ICC of course, and it's very important that top teams play against each other because of course they are the top teams. They are the big three. Why they're called the big three? Because of course they're the strongest teams. They're
Financially, they are
also
the
in
strongest.
quality and quality in convention. Of course, South Africa
No,
won by
South
defeating
Africa and
Australia.
New Zealand are also quality. I think maybe in terms of viewership also.
In terms of viewership, also, I think Australia, England, and India have a lot more eye-catching viewerships than suppose a small nation like New Zealand or South Africa have. So it's important that these series continue because ICC generates a lot of revenue of these,
So
and especially playing these in suppose conditions like England or Australia, where Test cricket is really hyped. It's very important that these series continue to happen. So as I've said, the group stage is quite also it's also flawed as well. So what could actually be the case, Vedant,
So
where
I have
where
I have a few points which I just brought along with me, and if you don't think it's viable, just to say. So maybe
of course.
what you mentioned about a two-tier system, maybe that I don't think it's possible, but maybe a relegation, then maybe that where the worst, poorest performing team you relegate them, so that then it gives an incentive for the other three test playing nations which are not playing right now to play better cricket. Maybe that, and it also gives them an opportunity to compete here. And perhaps I think more than the two tier, three tier system, I think it is essential that all the teams play equal matches. Now,
Yeah.
how we do that is something
I don't think that's
because
possible, Vedant.
I was looking at the schedule of cricket in this calendar. It is very difficult to but so that is why that is why I'm saying an entire comprehensive overview with respect to everything is needed, because
Yeah.
if because as I have explained, England playing 22, South Africa playing 12 is not at all fair. It is not at all fair. So that is how the equal matches can happen. I genuinely don't know, but it is something which has to be thought about by the administrators. The second point, which could be that the table toppers of WTC could be given the hosting rights, because see at that now whichever team is coming first right now, there is no advantage other than the fact that you're playing the
And
final.
especially,
There is no advantage. So maybe hosting rights, so that it gives an
and
incentive for the teams to come first.
and to cut you off, sorry, Vedant, I'm
Yeah,
cutting
sure.
you
Go
off.
ahead.
If you notice, for the last three test finals, it has been happening in England only. That's Southampton at the first one, then it's been at the Oval, if I'm not wrong, and then at the home of cricket, Lords.
Hmm.
And if you see, the last three champions who are also there, they're all from SENA countries. The SENA countries being South Africa, England, New Zealand, and one more, Australia. Yes, of course, Australia.
The conditions
So
advantage them.
these and especially senior conditions are quite similar in the case of pacing conditions, and especially for suppose for example, India of course didn't play the best cricket in the final, but also for teams like Australia to come to, for example, Australia or New Zealand to come to a WTC final, having been already adjusted to conditions like these and already having a pace battery that are quite used to it and playing just a one-off test match, it could be some sort of an advantage or some biased advantage towards them, because
There
as you can see the
definitely is.
last
India came
and the
first
last
for
three
two
test match
consecutive
finals.
cycles, if I'm not wrong. So
Yeah,
then maybe for example, you could have rewarded them by having the match in India, because
yeah, and also
that way it is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
beneficial, advantageous
Yeah,
for
and
for
also,
the
for
first
example,
time team.
talking about home matches, for example, we can improve the WTC cycle as well. We of course talk about how the final should be held. But I can also emphasize, it's one of my key emphasis that winning, for example, if it's like an England versus India match, India winning on England is winning in England is way more it's way tougher than suppose winning at home. So for example, I want to give an emphasis. For example, New Zealand have beat India 3-0, whitewash them at home. People, the points table might have just shown 12 as they have won, but the magnitude of victory of suppose winning in away conditions is should be way. I think it should be way more heavy in point system. For example, if they got, for example, if they win like 16, 17 points for like winning in an away match and then
But
winning on a home
Agni,
match.
the selection is not on the basis of points. It is on the basis of percentage of matches won. No,
Yeah, but
whatever
if they
points,
get
how
more
does it
points by
matter?
winning, but if they get more points, if they win away, then their POP will raise quite
No,
high because
no, if the POP won't increase, because the number of points you're competing for will also increase.
no, that one not that I'm not talking about the points table totality to increase, because I feel like if suppose New Zealand
Suppose
get
India
extra
is
points
playing for India is having 18 points, and say you give South Africa 8, so South Africa goes to 24. But if they go to 24, then say for example, if you had 6 and you would have ended at 96, you are ending at 100 more points than that, no? If you are giving away, so if it is done
yeah.
with respect to POP percentage of points won, then more points does not in this POP system does not make sense. But your point is absolutely valid that away teams should get more advantage. But for that to happen,
Yeah,
then grading has to be done on the basis of points
different
and not POP.
scenarios. Yeah, so
For example,
it's
which
a very
happened in the Ranji
complicated.
Trophy, if you take for example,
Mhm.
grading happens on there, but then there every team plays each other equal number of times, which is not happening this
Yeah,
time. And
it's
also
not
it
possible
could
for every
also
team to play
maybe
against each other as well.
what could be possible also could be that the for the lower ranked teams could get more points to defeat the higher ranked teams, maybe something
Maybe.
around.
So it's like, for example, if I'm quite interested in chess as well. Looking at chess matches, the
Yes.
higher ranked suppose if a higher ranked player plays against a lower ranked player, and if the lower ranked player wins against the higher ranked player, they should get more points. As to suppose if a higher ranked player wins against a lower ranked player, they should get less points than they actually should get. So if
But
that kind of system can be introduced to
but
revise the
yes,
point
but
system,
for
that
this the POP system would have to go then basically.
yeah would have to go. And especially I feel like I don't support the POP system for one reason, because one, if there should be an equal number of matches happening. If they're not playing against each other, there should be a another consensus of suppose how the points table should happen. Because for example, Ranji Trophy has point system, and for example, you can do group again. If I bring up the group again, you can also talk about how
See,
England, Australia, and
See,
India are
till
playing.
basically, see, the thing is that till the time you don't have equal matches, POP is your best bet because
Yeah,
otherwise, uh, I think initially it started with points, then it was converted to POP because then it was not being fair. So POP is your best bet for
but
that, and but then so first and foremost, most importantly, the fact that every single team plays in same number of games has to happen to make it a level playing field because as we have brought it up time and again uh, as we have brought it up time and again this system is not fair.
yeah, and one can also think about removing the WTC cycle ultimately and suppose making a new system altogether for suppose making test cricket more exciting. I've heard about making test matches 4 days. I don't agree with that,
Look
but
at the last match went into day 5.
yeah, last match went for 5 days, the one that we covered. So it went for 5 days, and if it didn't go for 5 days, it would have been a drawn match. So
Exactly.
we wouldn't have seen a result. So it's a lot of ideas are creeping forward, and especially ICC has a lot of questions to answer because ultimately they are the
Lot
think
of
tank
work
of
to do
what.
because somewhere down the line you have to prioritize fairness over monetary benefits. It cannot always be monetary benefit.
Yeah,
Look at the
exactly,
T20 World
exactly.
Cup, look at the amount of matches scheduled. It
Very
is a
hectic.
no-brainer that it is monetary. Every single thing is monetary, majority wise. So to move away from that, to ensure some sort of fairness has to be done. A very, very
Yeah,
neat,
and
essential. We don't see it in this cycle is among the lines of the previous cycle, but from the 27 to the 29 and thereon, it has a comprehensive analysis has to be done and a fair system has to be brought up. Where
yeah, and
yes, go ahead.
yeah, and also especially WTC has to exist in the sense of suppose uh, battling franchise cricket, where franchise cricket is genuinely the dominant cricket in the world today because of how much money it is carrying, how much
Because
entertaining it
then
is.
that has to be see again it is monetary. Players will till the time
Yeah,
franchise cricket is more rewarding in terms of money. Then players will prefer that, and if it is not, then players will prefer Test cricket. So exactly. In fact, yesterday only I was reading an interesting article about how fast bowlers in Sri Lanka who are there, who are now in fact who bowl
playing a
15.
series.
Yeah, Fernandez. I'm forgetting the first name.
Huh,
They are toiling away 20-25 overs every day, with bowling
huh.
at good speeds. Yet they don't get enough revenue. I mean, somebody could just sign for a local franchise cricket, bowl 4 overs.
They can bowl just 4 overs.
Yeah, just bowl 4 overs and you'll make more money. And with 20-20
Yeah,
overs, one injury and you're out for 10 months. And also they don't play test matches as frequently. Sri Lanka's next test series is I
yeah,
think next year or somewhere end of the year. So that way monetarily for them to put in so much and financially get so less, it as we have time and again mentioned, a comprehensive revenue, a comprehensive evaluation, and maybe fair two things. Ideally, fair compensation to the players and the fair equal number of matches, and then you can the more points, less points, for away, home, that all can be thought about.
then
That
also
is
our
second.
overhead penalty system should be revised. Who
Yes,
knows?
that is
Uh,
secondary, but primary. Firstly, you have to have equal number of matches. Now, how
yeah,
to do that is
exactly.
something which I genuinely I was looking at the schedule, looking at I have no clue. One thing could be, I genuinely have no clue with how it is going.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
it's very
There is,
tough to actually analyze when there is money involved. And to
yeah,
talk about how
but
money is involved, ICC needs to involve
see,
a lot
this
of money into this,
calendar,
especially.
in terms of monetary benefit, this calendar absolutely makes sense. Absolutely, no doubt.
It does,
But
it does. I mean,
in terms of fairness, with Test cricket, with anything, it is just a lot of cricket. And
yeah,
so maybe what one could, instead of having this 2 years, I mean, it's already decided, so now it can't be done. A 2 year cycle of T20 World Cup, heaven's sake, make it four, because it is,
yeah,
because problem is not the only the calendar where T20 cricket comes in, na? Because 1 month, 2 months prior to T20 cricket, teams will start focusing more on T20 matches. So there goes Test
yeah.
cricket and even one day cricket out of the window. Both of
And for ICC and for ICC cricket to ICC Council, actually the International Cricket Council, to not be dependent on monetary benefits. I feel like BCCI also has a role in, suppose
huge
when they're giving the most out of the money to
seventy
ICC. I feel
percent.
like
That is
BCCI
70%.
70%. I feel like BCCI and ICC both need, as BCCI is the richest board by far. BCCI and ICC needs to, suppose, uphold Test cricket one, and also provide associate teams with more benefits. For example, the quality of cricket by
Like
Zimbabwe,
I mentioned
Ireland.
that yesterday, exactly.
Yeah, especially, as you have mentioned yesterday, that these cricketing teams that are associate nations, they need more money than ever. Like, rather than just getting big money clubs to play against each other, make cricket a more popular sport rather than just making it towards just the top three or the top five teams. So this talking, so WTC is really one of those talking
I
points
think
where
it is.
monetary,
So now I think it might, now I just, for the audience, it might seem that we have gone out of context here. But I just like to remind you that WTC is also a part of the calendar. So for
yeah,
WTC and for to include fairness in WTC, we also have to comprehensively look at the calendar and change it, so that WTC, we can schedule equal number of matches, plan something like that.
yeah,
That is why we are talking about so many things around it, because it is
yes,
just, we cannot solely look at WTC, we have to look at the whole thing because now if I just say, oh, it is very simple, let's give equal matches to everybody, but if,
it's not.
like, 5 times or 6 times I've mentioned in this video, look at the calendar, that is not possible.
Yeah.
That is the thing.
And then the importance of ODI cricket is also going less, because T20 and Test cricket, you try to try to balance it. Then ODI cricket, where is the space for ODI cricket?
I
So
don't know what
maybe
is, brother, I genuinely
so
don't know
much of
what
cricket
is
is
happening.
being played, huh? So
But-
much of being cricket is being played. This is a big
There is,
problem that cricket
just
might
look,
face.
just look right now. Right now, there is MLC going on. The IPL was going on before this. BBL was going on before that. After that, NatWest will come. The England's T20 league will, 100, sorry, the 100 will
Hmm.
come. Then something. Then there was some T10 I was looking
Something else
at
will always grow
in
up.
Abu Dhabi. T10 is going. So
Yeah.
every year, that, and now if players from international cricket move, then again it is poor for Test cricket, it is poor for cricket overall, where if
Yeah, and especially
franchise
is the
cricket
best
starts.
format of the game.
Yes.
So yeah, so this is where we end the discussion about WTC and what could it be for future. We've also discussed about what ICC could have in the future, because it's a lot of questions for them to answer, and
And
especially,
I there, I mean, we are all clueless. I mean,
yeah,
I could very well say we are all clueless, but to
yeah.
sum it up, I think the need of the hour is equal matches for all teams,
Mm.
and that,
And also it's our request. Yeah, and it's
everybody's
also our
request, not just
request.
our request. I think all
But it's
commentators,
our
analysts are
but it's
saying,
our request to the view. I was talking about our request to the viewers as well
okay.
as seeing whoever is watching this, is to always, suppose for the younger audience, for example, always prioritize Test cricket, because I feel like
No,
Test cricket is the
I
biggest
think
format.
we cannot, Agni, I don't think we can tell somebody to prioritize this, prioritize that, and just
No,
say, "Hey,
it's
give all
supposed,
forms of cricket an equal watch." Then you'll
yeah,
see
an equal watch.
there's more to cricket than just going down and just hitting fours and sixes and coming back, and then,
Yeah,
and
it's about bowling good spells as well.
my problem is not with that. I'm okay with all type, but the players who are doing that are being monetarily, they are being paid more because of franchise cricket. They are being paid more. They have now being spoken about more than people who have done well in Test cricket. I don't think we are not speaking enough about them. Take Cheteshwar Pujara, for example. Take,
Yeah,
I mean, there is, I mean, in the
lot of
previous
examples.
century,
Ajinkya Rahane.
Ajinkya Rahane, Cheteshwar Pujara,
Yeah,
Manas Labuschagne, so many. I don't think we
yeah,
have spoken
especially.
about a lot. In England, we talk about Joss Butler, but Ollie Pope, Ben Duckett, who have done well. Joss Butler has done well in
Uh,
white ball cricket. Then Ian Bill was there, Alistair Cook was there. So many players who have done
and
well in
Joe Root today as well to an extent
Joe
as well
Joe
when he
Root
is
is
not
done.
playing.
So exactly my. But see, in England, the thing is that they are compensating their players fairly. So that's there. But
Yeah,
I was mentioning Sri Lanka. The bowlers are
they are
bowling
not.
25 overs, but Mustafizur Rahman, all these from Bangladesh, goes and bowls 4 overs. One day he'll get paid more, comparatively
Yeah.
much more. So then
Yeah, I
compared
can also remember the fact. I can also remember the fact that Mustafizur Rahman left a series, an international series of
exactly players
Bangladesh, and
prioritizing
came here
franchise.
and played for IPL because
Yes,
of more money.
but yes, exactly. Exactly.
So
I
yeah,
mean, that should never be a thought. Ideally, that should not be a thought that even crosses your mind. Ideally.
yeah,
Again,
especially like playing for the nation
ideal and
way more than
reality,
playing
there
for a
is a
random
huge
franchise.
difference. So
Yeah,
that is,
and
there are a
especially there's
lot
a
of,
big money difference as well.
yeah, there
Yeah,
are, so the fairness in money will bring fairness in all forms of game, I think. And I think here
yeah.
we should sum it up. You
Yep.
do
So
the
yeah, we're
honor.
submitting. We have taken it for a long discussion here, but
I
it's very
come
important that we
in
have.
a lot long discussion.
No, but it's important to have this kind of
Yes,
discussion
yeah.
because WTC is linked with so many calendar of cricket that it's very important to discuss this. And we are glad that
Absolutely.
I've discussed this. But till then, it's we are going to talk more about this in different videos as well. It's not going to be just talking about this. In the future videos, we're going to talk about this as well. But till then, it's from us. We are glad to have you here, CNE, and we're going to wish you all the best. And till then, Vedant, we will talk to you tomorrow. And till then, it's bye bye and good night.
Tomorrow, I think
Bye
it's
bye.
an interesting video. Good night. Good night. Take care.